Hey there, welcome back to the table. So, I was able to verify that when my phone rang, the audio cut out. So you actually didn't hear the conversation of that previous call, which is fine. I still gave you the recap. It's my son wanted to play some Hearts of Iron with me. So I feel better about it at least. So we now know that with my current setup, because this is a new setup for me, that when my phone rings, the audio cuts off. So I don't have control over when people call me, folks. So if you see things suddenly go silent again, then you'll know why. I do remember where we left off. Orange had taken the capability, and I just need to refresh my memory on the capabilities here. So an attack removes an additional piece. That was the first one. And then an attack may remove satellites from anywhere on Mars. So their attack is getting really powerful. I really do like what the designer did with this particular, what do you call it, faction. I don't like having to keep track of these one-off rules as a solo player. But man, oh man, I mean, it does make the game interesting. Like whoever plays that faction has some pretty cool cards. So obviously when they get a new capability, they then get to do two operations. An operation in two spaces. That's the better way to word it. And this is the card we drew, and that's why the 2 is on there. So I am refreshed and reminded of what we are doing here. So let's get into it. Okay, any Sierra base in a space with a hidden rebel. Yes, there's several, in fact. 1d6 is less than or equal. There are so many available rebels, it's not even funny. So the answer is yes. I don't even have to roll. There's more than 12 rebels available. Okay, so again, they're doing this rally thing where they place bases where there's 3 rebels and 1 hidden. So that one is actually going to work. So we do rally. Why am I not seeing rally? Oh, here we go. Rally. So rally here is any neutral space on Mars. In each space, they can place rebels. If there's a base, they may instead place rebels up to population plus bases. Right here. In each space, place 1 rebel or replace 2 with a base. So they're asking me to place a base. And there is a spot right here. So we can take 2 off and put another base on. Now, what's crazy is they now have even less troops on the map, but it still gets another base, and basically the wilderness is their friend. I'm going to assume the wilderness is neutral. That would make total sense. Okay, then Corp is not the player, so we're skipping that. And it says only make AN rolls after placing rebels. Well, there's no more bases to place. So now they want us to alternate placing rebels and upgrading bases. And remember, so what they're doing now is they're going to, these actions are on locations. So this location is already resolved. So the only locations left are Cordoba, and then possibly this one over here. So we got to see, it says place rebels and upgrade bases. So the problem is the wilderness, because of number 1, is already done. There's bases there that could be upgraded, but they're not doing it. So let's do the place rebels one. And that requires us to open this up to the bubbler. And for place rebels, anywhere where there's a Sierra base with no hidden rebel, I don't think that's the case. Vulnerable enemy base. Can they really just place a rebel anywhere? Any neutral space on Mars. Oh, okay. Any neutral space on Mars, folks. So where would a vulnerable would be that they have more troops than the base. There's no vulnerable bases anywhere. And I am realizing that the base count up on the track, I don't have that in the correct spot. But as you know, we do a final check when we hit the dust storm. No CR control. That's almost anywhere on the map. So we can start to, though, identify, I mean, it's literally everywhere. Let's get something more specific. Most bases. It doesn't say their bases, anybody's bases. Well, there's two bases here and here, but that's not neutral. They have two bases there. So we're going to pick Cordova because there's two bases there. I don't think, oh, there's two bases here, but it's not neutral. The only place that has two bases is Cordova. Everywhere else has one. So Cordova's the winner, chicken dinner. And the rally says, and so here it says place rebels and then upgrade bases. So to place rebels, we're going to place rebels up to the population plus CR bases. Well, there the population is 2, and there's 2 bases, so they finally get some decent rebels on the board. They're going to get 4 of them, in fact. Okay, so for marking, this base has been done, and so is that one. Now, after doing that, they have to then do this. So they rolled a 6. They do continue. So now it says they're alternating between that and upgrading bases. Well, all the locations where their bases are have been already acted upon. So there's no bases to upgrade. So we're just placing rebels now. So I'm going to continue down the track. After most bases, it says most support. Well, you can't do most support because it has to be neutral. So we're going to skip that one. And then it goes to most CR rebels. Well, there's 2. So we're down to 2. We got, oh, this one's not neutral. So we got 1, winner chicken dinner right here. So here's our next spot. So that spot, according to the rally action, in each space place 1 rebel. Yeah, that's it. So they get 1 rebel, and that's fine. We'll do that. Now we roll the die. I rolled a 4, they continue. So we're going to continue down the rebel track. Place rebels. Fewest enemy forces, and then most population. Okay, so a neutral space that has the fewest enemy forces. Oh, I am so glad I put the active support over there. That would be this one here and this one here. So which of those 2, most population, would be the next one, so that's the tiebreaker. There's also a third one, so I'm putting green out. There's a 3-way tie there, there, and there, but see, that's a raging storm, so we can't do that one. So I'm going to take that one away. But that one wins because it actually has population. So we're going to put 1 troop there. Keep rolling. Okay, now we're at a 2. That 2, though, is greater than this, so he's not going to spend this to continue, so his turn's over. And then I just realized something. The action was only supposed to go to 2 locations. Haha, I screwed up that part. Okay, so that means this comes back and this comes back. He only does 2 locations. So the first location was here, second location was here, and we're done. So the whole die rolling thing wasn't necessary. All right, I even reminded myself. I remember, I'm only limited to 2. Okay, his turn is over. That means we're available So our arch enemy is going side by side with us every time. It's stressful. Okay, so this card was the card, and it goes away. And so, no, I'm sorry. This is the new card. And then here's the draw. It has a 3 on it, so the flashpoint moves up 3. And I just want to read the event because I do go first on this one. So look at that, EG+. What a great way to, yeah. Place 1 supply marker on Earth for each labyrinth without any rebel forces. That would have been just 1 single supply marker. That's not very good. But I'm probably not even going to get to go during that turn unless for some reason I want to pass here. I'm also first on this one, so let's see what the event is here. Shift up to 3 spaces, 1 level towards active support. Then increase profits by 1 for each space now with active support. So shifting 3 spaces can be interesting because I could shift these spaces, which I don't even have presence at, and that would take away 1, 2, 3, 4 points, 5, 6, 7, 8 points from red. That's pretty powerful. Now the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to kill the troops. They're all active there, so I can completely wipe them out of that spot. I can also wipe them out of that spot, and I have armies now. So, I'm sorry, I have money, so I can afford to wipe them out, is what I'm getting at. So an assault would work in 2 locations. I would take out 6 rebels. Which is better? Well, I was headstrong on the assault, but I think the 3 shifts is better, because let's think about this logistically. What can I do to infiltrate this? I would have to do a move action to move troops in. I would have to somehow do a recon action or whatever the equivalent of that is in the labyrinth to get these to reveal. And then for the 3rd action, I would finally get to attack. So I would need to take 3 turns. And that's 6 rounds of the game because I only get to go every other round. So for 1 turn, I can flip 2 of these down. That's not to say he's not going to flip them right back, but he at least has to spend a turn to do that. Destroying the 6 rebels is fantastic. I guess I could wait till the next time. Here's the other good news. Let's think about this logically. He has to be able to flip a rebel over to be able to attack me. So my base is safe, unless he moves there. But it's not like he's going to be able to attack again unless he moves more rebels into that area. So I'm gonna do the event, and I didn't even check what's his event. Look at that, remove 4 troops. Like he might have actually wanted to do that. I don't know if he really would, but and I'm making sure the next event is not something he would want to pass for. It's not. I'm going to do the event, and that will allow him to do a full op and special activity, but it lets me shift 3 spaces, and this are crucial for me because that just reduced him by 8, and he was 2 points away from a victory. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is extremely good. And then I get to do 1 more. Increase profits by 1 for each space now with active support. I haven't actually moved any towards active support. I'm just trying to remove his. So this one is also active opposition. So I can reduce that one to take 2 more points away from him. I do have active support in quite a few places. I could shift New Cordoba towards me, because that's another opportunity to shift something. You know, I'm going to do that. We're going to make something passive support in New Cordoba. This is a place where we're probably never going to conquer. So that at least gives me 2 points. And look at that, we're 1 away from victory ourselves. And remember, we have to get all the way to the 3rd dust storm, so I'm not, too excited about being past it, but that's a big jump. And if I could, add population in certain places or continue to whittle away at these two, I think that was a good move. And then the even better part is I didn't have to give any profits away. Okay, so that's done. And then red gets to do a full op plus. So 1d6 less than available RD bases. There's 2 available RD bases. The answer is no. So grab another card. Here's the next one. What does it say? 15 or more RD rebels on the map. I think the answer is yes. We have 2 here. There's 3 more for 5, 8, 11, 14. Yes, they have way more than 15. Yes. 3 or more rebels in any space with an enemy base. Yes. Although they're not hidden. It doesn't say hidden. So I'm going to just say yes. So they want to ambush in 2 spaces using ambush. I think that is a mistake on their part. Because with the red dust, ambush requires 1 hidden rebel. So we already know that the ambush is going to want to choose those 2 locations, and it can't. I still think they can do ambush somewhere else. Oh, in fact, they could actually do ambush there. There's a base there. Okay, we'll move forward with it. It's a little goofy, but they could still do an ambush and do damage. So, I need to check. When they have to choose between MG or corporate, which one do they choose first? Oh, that is the priority table. Never mind. And I think we determined that it is security that they remove first. Yes, because it's left to right. Security is listed in the same row as the MG troops, but it's listed first. So, okay, let's do this. Where are they going to ambush? Remember, ambush is different than attack for their priorities, and the ambush action says pick 2 spaces with a hidden rebel. That's the requirement. So 2 spaces with a hidden rebel, which is why those 2 spaces are out, even though the answer was yes to the question. So they are doing ambush here. So the CR is not a player, so we skip that. MG is a player. They want to go where there's the most support. There's a lot of places, so I'm going to keep going. A vulnerable enemy base, that doesn't exist. No RD control, that's pretty much everywhere. And then most RD rebels, which they're all tied. So let's keep going. And then it gets to fewest enemy forces. And then random. Okay. So most support. Let's start with that. Most support would be here, here, and here. Because they need to have troops. Now there's some places with passive support, but that's not most support. And they have 3 locations that qualify. Right? So that was the first criteria. That dropped it down to 3. There's no vulnerable base. All 3 of those have no RD control. Oh, I'm sorry. This one has RD control, so this one's removed. So now we're down to those 2. And then it's going to boil down to fewest enemy forces, I believe. Most rebels, they both have 3. Well, look, they get to do 2 locations. So those are the 2 locations that they would do. And just like we said, it's going to be a 1-1. All right, so those are the two locations they're going to ambush. And then we got to do the attack. So right here, set dice to remove enemy bases, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the attack says, in each space, activate all rebels. Well, okay, technically, they've activated one to do the ambush. It is possible. Well, see, this one's only passive support. That one's only passive support, folks. They wouldn't choose that one. So that means they would, even though this one's RD control, they would still choose that one. Yeah, that's what they would choose. Okay. So one of these flips over in Europa. Okay, so then it says they're going to do an attack that's at support with 3 or more rebels and no opposition, which doesn't exist, where all RD rebels are already active. See, now that's interesting, because that means their priority is to attack here and there. So they're going to ignore the ambush spots. This is so crazy. Like, why would they ambush somewhere else that they may never attack? Okay, so which of those two are they going to prioritize first with their attack? I got to look at the attack bubbles now. So vulnerable enemy base. That would be this one, because they do outnumber them now. No, they don't. It's not vulnerable. No CR control. That's the case for both. Although they will take control now that they... Most bases. There you go. That's the winner. This one right here. So they're actually going to attack there, even though there's no ambush. That's interesting. But that's what it says. So it's bizarre, but it is what it says. And in each space, activate all rebels. They're already active. And roll. Now this one does not require you to have a hidden rebel, which is why I think they said that. Roll 2 dice. The sum has to be less than or equal to the total forces present. We have to roll this one, folks. So they rolled a 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that did succeed. And so what that did was that caused 1 damage. Well, we have a person here protecting these. Now, arguably, the damage goes from right to left. So I think it just means this pop goes away. It goes back to displaced population. It doesn't kill my guy because the damage goes right to left, and they're not popping. They're not protecting those locations when they fortified way back when. So by doing that, that caused me to drop by 2. So let me make sure I do that. Okay, now let's keep going with what it says. Then each die result equal to or less than the number of RD rebels allows them to remove 1 EG or 2 enemy. Now the RD rebels are 3, and one of the die results is less than 3, so they do get to remove 2. And so that would be 1, 2, like that. I mean, I guess arguably they could remove these 2 because they want to remove the fortified ones. And then so I believe they get to choose. So we no longer have control. They do. Even though we have a base, we're down to 2 pieces. They have 3. And this is a case where maybe I should have attacked, right? Because I had an opportunity to wipe them out there. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that was the risk, right? Everybody gets to go. Okay, so then they got to roll to see if they continue. And they do. So now they're going to this location here. and we're gonna roll 2 dice. I rolled a 7. They don't damage, right? Because there is 7. Is it less than or equal to, or is it gotta be less than? Let me read. Equal to or less. Oh my goodness, there's exactly 7. So they cause a damage, which puts another population displaced, and also reduces us by 2. So we did something to them and they did something right back. There's a little thematic thing going on here. Only 1 is less than them, so they remove 2 of my troops. And voila. They are done there. So now we're going to roll. They roll a 6. They continue. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so what's the third place that they're going to pick? We're going to go back to the bubble chart. Vulnerable enemy base. No CR control. Most bases. That would be New Cordoba. Because there's 2 bases there, but they don't belong to me. They belong to Orange. It just says most bases. It doesn't say. So yeah, I mean, that's where they would attack. Who are they attacking though? Now the thing is the rebels aren't friends with each other. So they can kill Orange troops. But I believe that the attack does not specify. No, it just says 2 other enemy forces. That is interesting. So New Cordoba would be the criteria because there's 2 bases in Cordoba. Most bases. Here, hold on. I was actually reading Orange. I read Orange all the time. I don't know why. So for the attack, an RD base with no hidden rebel. I'm looking. No. Not at active opposition. That's just about anywhere. Most support. Okay. So that would lead to the green ones. Vulnerable enemy base. We covered that. There aren't any. No RD control. So see, even though they ambushed here, that's not what they want to do. I think we're now at, because remember, it has to be where the rebels are. It is Ganzhou, that one. And the reason it's Ganzhou, hold on, not at active opposition, most support. Ganzhou has more support than Cordoba. Like Cordoba would possibly count, but Ganzhou has more support. That's the reason why Ganzhou's next. And then this one was not next because of the RD control. So this time they have a 1-1. So there's no dice rolling on this one. So yes, they're going to damage another population, which also damages another shuttle. That causes a displaced population, and we go down by 2 more. So they just reduced us by 6 after we reduced them by, 8? And they're not done. So now they flip over. And since both of the dice are below, they get to kill 4 units. And they're going to kill 1, 2, 3 Corp, and then 1 of mine. So that's the 4 units. And that's it for them. There. So I'm going to replace that with this to show that it's done. And then we roll to see if they continue. Okay, they don't. They're done. So that ambush didn't really do anything over here. And I guarantee you the developer of the games would probably tell you, hey, look, the AI got the cheat, and this is where you get the advantage now. And that makes sense. I mean, I get it. It's a play balance thing. So sometimes you're the pigeon and sometimes you're the statue, right? And this time, I mean, I actually think he did a lot of damage, being able to have unlimited resources and just hit everywhere he wanted. That hurt. That hurt a lot. There's a lot of damage. There's a lot of displaced population. He is done. And then we both go to ineligible, and those two come up. I really need the corporation to start bringing those troops down, because he's like holding all those Earth forces back from us. All right, let's go over here. The next card is a 3. So before we read it, we got to do a flashpoint. 1, 2. So we're going to reset that flashpoint. Let's make sure we go through all the steps properly. Move all pieces from transit to Phobos. So I know you can see it in the corner here, but 2 pieces move up and 3 supply. There's no population markers. So we get 3 for each supply, so we're going to get 9 resources out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a nice, healthy number. Move 1 population marker from Earth to transit. This time it does move because this isn't a corporation-controlled one. This is the flashpoint. Like the corporation would decide no. Must choose 5 pieces, including satellite and supply markers. There is nothing on Earth right now. So reduce profits by 1 to move any additional pieces. Corporate casualties. So there are 3 units there, 1 for every 2. So they're going to lose. Good question. Do they round down? I'm going to say no, because there was 1 for every 2, and there was only 2 one time. So they lose 1 profit. Next, move all satellites. Improve or degrade. This is the part that's wonderful. We improve it. And then add pieces to Earth. So there aren't 4 white cubes, but there are 2 times 3 supplies and 1 more population that we can add. Done. Then terraforming. So this is the thing where they're going to get the 5 points, 5 profit again. So, and then, you know what? We haven't been doing this. We haven't been doing that. I totally apologize. I was only doing the left side, and I stopped doing this. So we've had 3 flashpoints where this is the 3rd one, this one right here. We had 2 previous ones where we didn't do this. So let me see what we can do to retcon, but that, I apologize. Let's get their 5 profit in first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, first one, remove all raging storms. So like one of these raging storms would have gone away, and flip all approaching to raging. So that means this one flips and this one flips. If a storm marker is already, and then roll for a new approaching storms a number of times equal to the flashpoint value of the next card, which was 3. I know one time it was 4. So I'm going to roll 4 of them. I can't retcon approaching storms. There can only be 6 on the board. So I'm just going to roll 4 of them, or 4 times. Here's the first time. 2, 6. This is Ganzhou. 2. That's 1, 2. Which is Rutherford. That whole area is getting pounded up there. 3, 5. It's over here. I'm just trying to find it. Right here. And then the last one. 4-3. Also over here. This place right there. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of raging storms because I skipped that part. From a game balance perspective, I don't feel too bad about that. This part, though, in unpopulated or raging storm deserts without a coin base, remove one MG troop and one security if possible. So that's where the raging storms are now. Now there's a coin base here, and there's a coin base actually at the other one. So there's nothing to remove. So see, that didn't hurt us. Those bases were always there. So we're okay. And even if you look at the new places we rolled, there's no coin troops at any of those places. I don't think we missed anything, even though I still feel bad that I forgot to do these steps. Then in unpopulated raging storm deserts without an RD base, remove one RD rebel if possible. Now that is the bigger issue, because there are RD rebels in some of these places, but this is one of them, so we'll go ahead and remove one. In populated spaces with a conversion center, see there's no conversion center, so nothing happens for that step. So yes, we missed it, but we didn't miss much. Let's put it that way. Okay. We're at 38 minutes. We're going through the turns a little quicker. The bubble charts and the things are easier to understand. And that's, there's a learning curve with this game. And, theoretically, I could have played this by myself, figured out all these things, and then recorded a much more polished start to the game. I hope you can at least appreciate learning it with me, because I actually think there's value in that, because I'm taking you through all the questions I have, and then seeing the things that I see. But with that being said, now that it's moving quicker, I'm enjoying the game tremendously more. There are some things, like it's not a perfect game. There's some things I still wish were better, but I'm having fun. And that's the point of a game, right? Is to have fun. Is it still a chore or work? Yes, it is. I feel like this is my second job. I sometimes think that my primary job that I do for a living is less challenging than trying to do some of these bots. But it is getting simpler, and I am curious to see what's going to happen next. And the fact that I'm paired up with the Red Dust Rebellion, like I keep wanting, I keep punching them and they're punching me back. Like I'm feeling the tension, which is what I believe the designer wanted in this game. So anyways, so very good there. I think from an AI bot perspective, the corporation's not playing very well, better English. I'm not sure the CR player is playing very well. I feel like the Red Dust Rebels are. So maybe, we play the corporation or the CR and then let those two duke it out because they both have good AI bots. I don't know. We'll see. The fact that they don't have to pay resources really does help the AI. And let's move on. So we got only one here, and yellow is not going to be able to, the church is not going to be able to move to first eligible. So there's no point in rolling. The corporation does go first. So let's see what they're going to do here. The first question is, current event is critical and effective. It's not. In fact, they got a little slash through theirs. So what is it? Place one supply. Yeah, because that only helps me. Although a labyrinth without rebel forces, there's only one place. Okay, so next one. Current event is critical for the second eligible faction. Nope. Is the next event critical? That's a good question. What is the next event? The Mystery of Outpost 27. Remove a corp base and all units from one unpopulated desert. Increase profits by 6 and corp remains eligible. Ooh, but that's not a critical. That is a interesting one. I mean, you can do that even if you're not the corp. But yeah, the corp has no interest in doing this one. So okay, so they're not doing the event. They're going to do the op plus SA. So let me stand up here and these guys were supposed to draw an event card just on their last turn, so they're fine. And it wasn't until after their turn, so we're still fine. And yes, I didn't need to roll because they still couldn't have moved up to first eligible with just 2. Okay, so I'm going to put this away since they're not doing the event. And we're going to grab a card. So this card was on top. So it goes back to the bottom. This is the next one. Any non-terraforming corp bases in deserts? No. Draw a new card. At least 2 populated spaces with corp base. With corp forces greater than MG forces and no damage. Yes, although one of them has Raging Storm. I don't know if I'm supposed to count that, but the answer is yes. Assault could remove an enemy base or 2 or more rebels in one space. They don't have enough out there to do an assault. So the answer is no. So they flip over the card. All right, so let's see. This should play out, although the Raging Storm they can't do. Okay, so the first thing they want to do is exploit. Exploit using exploit. Exploit is up to 2 spaces with a corp base, no damage, and more corp forces than MG forces. Increase profits by population, then shift 1 level towards neutral. If RD control, they gain population. So it's 2 spaces with a corp base and no damage. So it has to be these ones. And so what they're saying is this would flip to passive, which means I lose a point. And this one up here would go back to normal, which means I lose another point. So 2 points down. And they get profit equal to population, so they would get 3 profit. All right, that makes sense. Their profits are climbing quite a bit now. Okay, so that's the exploit. Then logistics. Upgrade 1 base. They can't. They're doing logistics again. So 4 corp units on Earth. They got 3. Resolve the Adler cycle, but no population to transit. So this population goes here. And then they're going to pick 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5. They can't pick the population. Place security cubes at corp bases with 0 to 3. This situation here, one of them would have been an OPSEC. So they would have had 1 cube left, and they would have for sure done that here, which would have reduced their profit by 1, because they definitely need a cube there. They would also like to put a cube here. So now the question becomes, would they have put them on Earth? Well, we do it in the order that they say, and so, yeah, there's nothing left for them to place. So that's it. That's their turn. They keep doing logistics. I don't know what's going to get them out of that loop, but we need them to do a secure or a recon. And the yes-no questions keep taking us away from from doing that. That's the problem. And the troops are just piling up on Phobos, and we're getting clobbered because of that. I need their help, and they're not helping. Okay, so now it's orange. So orange can do the event or possibly more. We first know that the next event's not critical for them, so we don't need to worry about that. First, is current event critical or performed and effective? So this one is performed. Is it effective? Remove one supply marker from Earth for each labyrinth with any rebel forces. There aren't any. So I would say it's not effective at all. There's none on Earth. And then just looking at the reclaimers, supply markers, removing them would be considered effective for it, but there's no supply markers on Earth, so this is not an effective thing for them. It does say it's effective setting EG to negative, but I'm going to make a common sense decision. They would only do this to set EG to negative, and nothing else would happen on their turn. It doesn't sound like a fair thing to do. Although, if you follow the rules strictly, right here, EG confidence or sets EG negative, that's considered to be an effective event. Okay, fine. Let's do what the rules say. We set it to negative. That's their whole turn, because they just did an event that did nothing. Wow, that's I think that's just bad circumstances. I think they would have been better off drawing 2 cards to see if they got an event from their cards. That's what I would personally have done in their situation. But puristically, that's what they did. And you know what? EG negative is beneficial to them, because then, if we lose control, all those all those EG forces go away. So, I sort of get it. It is what it is. It made the turn very easy to resolve. So these 2 go up, these 2 go down, and we move this over. The new one is a 2. So flashpoint goes up 2, and then here we go. Red is going to go first, and the next event is a critical for red, and they do go first. Ooh. Shift New Cordoba 1 level towards opposition and place 2 rebels in each of New Cordoba and both adjacent deserts. Wow. Okay, well, they're definitely going to get it. Yeah, they're definitely going to get it. And let's go through the steps. So first step, is the current event critical and effective? No. The NPCR can't roll to take first eligible. They could roll to take second eligible. No, they're not even eligible. Never mind. Current event is critical for second eligible faction. No. Next event is critical, and they will be first eligible if they pass. The answer is yes. So they are passing, which makes this interesting. So I'm the only one that goes this turn. The event is not interesting to me at all. So we're not doing the event, but we will do the full op plus SA. And I think this is the first time we actually get to do it. I might be wrong. There might have been one other time. I think we've gotten several limited ops we've gotten to do. I know there was one time we could have done it, but we were out of money. There's always stuff like that. So I can't control the Earth government forces. So I got to make do with what I have. And they did damage my forces, so I can't kill all the rebels like I could before, as much as I wanted to. However, I'm looking there and I see 4 population. I know the EG's minus as well, and so I want to get the EG back to plus. And unfortunately, I think train is what I got to do to make that happen. I am going to look here because I get to do entrench or transport with it. And with entrench, I can get my base back out there and fortify troops. Okay, that's fair. With train, I can pick multiple spaces and then pacify one of them, which is two of any of these. Petition lets me put supplies out. Transports lets me move troops. Is pacify the only way I can put out houses? I thought there was another way. I'm sorry, I'm reading the blue ones first. This one lets me put a base out. And then I can fortify. I have to have coin control. This one just lets me move troops. This one lets me put out supplies. This lets me put troops down and I get to pacify one time, which I get to do 2 actions and that's it. Recon lets me activate rebels. And I can also place a base if I do that. Then may house or repair one destination. So there we go. This one may house or repair in one destination. So I can secure and recon. Both of those let me house or repair. And then assault does not let me house or repair. So that's my dilemma. I don't think I can house or repair all 4. This is where it's getting interesting. If I don't do anything, those populations are going to get sucked up by red. Although we know red's going to do that event. So it does buy me time. Because if red does the event, then that means I can maybe assault them this time and then come back and do that later. It lets me petition or transport. Three resources per space. Remove 1 enemy active force per coin unit. So that's mine or theirs. I'm thinking, and I apologize. So if I train first, I can place some troops out. And then entrench. Two spaces. And I can pacify something. So here's my thoughts. I definitely want to assault. I can for sure wipe out those 3. It's these guys. Here, I'm only going to be able to kill 1. Here, I can kill 2. Here, I can kill 1. Part of me is like, okay, let's assault. Then we can worry about the displaced population later because we know he's going to take the event, so we have multiple turns. But I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to train first, get troops in these locations, and then he's going to do the event, and then we're going to assault. The only thing that's going to ruin our plans is the dust storm thing comes back. But that, I think, is the right order because I want to wipe them all out. And so we'll train first. So in order to do this properly, I'm going to entrench with the train, this one. And what that does, it says I can replace a troop with a base. Then I can fortify any troops. The fortification is okay. I'm not super gung-ho about that. But what I want to do is I want to replace this with a base like that. So now I have bases in both places, and the train action is going to let me put troops anywhere there's a base. So any spaces with an MG base and labyrinths with coin control. This is no longer in coin control, by the way, after what he did. So I gotta, because of that, now, if this was coin control, I could have done it without needing to put a base there. So I gotta do the entrench first. And then I could fortify, which, you know, okay, fine. Like that. All right, so now I'm gonna pay, let's mark. I'm gonna train here and here at least, minimum. So this is gonna let me put 4. This is gonna let me put 4. Okay, and I still have 4 left. So I wanna train in a third spot. But where am I gonna go? I can go any space with a base or coin control. So now coin control could be here or here, but see, Raging Storm prevents it. I don't need more there. I can't go to New Cordoba because I don't have coin control there. I do want to put the troops out though, so I think I'm going to pay 3 more and put troops there. So that's $9 I have to spend, and I have plenty of money. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, then I may pacify in one of those 3 spaces. So the pacify is, of course, 2 actions. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to repair, right, and house. So I'll do both of those in that space. That does move me to EG plus over there again. And that also, the repair gives me 2, and that gives me 2 more. So I'm up to 4 back. It didn't handle all the population stuff, but I am now in a position to at least take over those spaces. The Europa one would have been nice. I could only put a base either here or there. I couldn't do it in both. So we'll have to deal with Europa later. Okay, so that was our turn, and actually the round is over because of that. I moved to ineligible. And now all 3 of these are going to duke it out for 2 actions. We go over to here. This is the new one. And we have a 1. So flashpoint doesn't happen. And then New Cordoba comes over. And first up is red. And they can't take it, so they're not going to roll. But they could try to take second. So they will roll for that. And they rolled, both of them qualify. So they're going to spend 1 to move ahead of black. So black is out. They cut the corporations off. So it's going to be red and orange. And then now it's going to be the corporation and us competing for actions. I'm not a big fan of that, but we already know this is critical. So they're going to do their thing. Shift New Cordoba 1 towards opposition, then place 2 rebels in each of the New Cordoba and both adjacent deserts. So that is for sure what they're going to do. This just removes the passive support, which does remove 2 points from us. And then they want to put, how many rebels? 2. So 2 rebels go to Cordoba. And then 2 rebels are going to go to this desert. And there's only 1 rebel left, and we'll put him in that desert. And since this one has population, that's going to get the priority. So this one will only get 1 because they're out of troops. They've literally placed all their troops on the map. That's even better because had I assaulted, they would have had more troops to place. Okay, so they did the event, which means that Orange is going to get to do the op plus special activity. Pass if fail, less than or equal to asset total. Oh, it's just a reminder. I'm sorry. Minimum 2 spaces, limited op, max 5 spaces. That's right. They, the Orange player can only do a maximum of 5 spaces. And it's a minimum of 2 before they start rolling. So I may have done a few things wrong there, but I don't think it has mattered. 2d6 less than rebels. I'll roll, but I don't think... so we got a 4, and I need to re-roll this one. That's an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had 11, so we would have had to roll 12. Hidden CR rebel in any space with a vulnerable enemy base or no CR control. There's 1 in a space with no CR control. Just 1. that guy over there. And yes, they may perform a special activity. So they're going to set ambush. This is a wasted action. Ambush in 2 spaces. There's only 2 spaces where there's even troops. So let's take these off. So ambush here. And ambush in Cordoba. I mean, they even have control, but it's the only place they can do it. There's no other place. They got the wilderness and they got the desert all to themselves. So then they're going to do an attack. And they're selecting spaces, but there's only 2 spaces to even do the attack. So I don't even have to roll. We don't have to, well, because of the ambush, we don't have to roll anyways. But let's just resolve the attack. There's only 2 spaces, and they couldn't attack anywhere else, even if they wanted to. So in each space, activate all rebels. So that's 1. This one here, they all activate. Boy, it would be nice if the Earth forces could come down and wipe all these out now that they're all activated. Okay, so that's done. Place a damage. So I'm going to prevent the damage, but I lose the troop. And then they're going to kill 2. Four. They kill all 4 of them. That jerk! Come on! We had it! Yeah, that worked. And the reason it's 4 is because both die are 1s, and it's 2 per die. That's less than the troops. And then over here, they just killed the 2 we have. Okay, so they're done. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera. I know that. Not coming back. I would be very shocked we don't have a flashpoint going on here. It's a 0. Oh my goodness, we don't. So here we go. It's between us and the Corp. The Corp would go first. Place the Rogers line marker between. They have a crit. So they're probably going to do this one. And then the next one. Okay, the next one's an interesting one. It says remove 6 rebels from any spaces. So being able to just remove them is nice. Especially since we just had that situation happen to us. Okay, so I'm pretty sure they're doing the event. Just to verify, the current event is critical. So now let's just find out that it's effective. I mean, it's definitely critical. Now boarding to Europa. Place the Rogers Line marker between Europa and Teshkova. So, as you know, that's what this little strange dotted line thing is. So the Rogers Line would mean that it got completed. So that was under construction, and now it's completed. Let's just make sure that they really do want this, because that doesn't make it effective. Shift Europa and Tereshkova 1 level each towards active support. They already are. Increase profits by 6, so that just made it effective. And MG or Corp may house once in both labyrinths. Okay, now this one is interesting because there is a chart here that tells you what they do. So this is number 14. So you can see house using place population only at Corp bases. See that? Boom. So they tell you what they would do. But okay, so the active support thing doesn't help, but their profits go up by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are moving up quite a lot now. And then the next thing, they may house in both labyrinths. So they would choose to house where their base is. See, they don't have any bases in both labyrinths, so that means they choose not to do it. But I will house in both. So I'm going to put 1 population in both, and this is awesome because I get to benefit from both of these. So that moves me up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now, they're moving up with so much profit that unless something changes, they're going to win the game. They are maybe 10 points away, and they get 5 profit every time this happens. That might mean that maybe they don't get 5. And I'm misunderstanding it. But yeah, so anyways, that's them. They did the event. So we would get to do a full action and op. And let me just review the rules and make sure that it really is 5. But the understanding here, increase profits by 2 for each desert with a terraforming base, then by 1 for each additional terraforming base after the first in each desert. That's 5. It's weirdly written, but that's 5. I will check the rule book. Oh gosh, I feel so silly. It makes total sense the way it's worded. Here's what they're saying. The rule book did clarify it for me, so it finally makes sense. This one is 2 points. This one is 1. So if they had a second terraform base in the same desert, this one's worth 2 points. This is worth 1. So what this means is this is 2 and that's 2, and it should only be worth 4. It's not worth 5. So I've been overpaying profits for at least, so we calculated that there was at least 3 flashpoint rounds, right? Because when we said that we missed for orange, there was at least 3. So I'm going to reduce their profits by 3 because they should not be getting 5. They should have only been getting 4. That's what that means. And it makes total sense now. So it's 2 for the first in each desert, and then 1 for each additional one in each. It makes sense. It's funny because it's like those memes that people post where, it's missing the commas and it makes it sound like you're going to eat your relatives. But if you had the commas there, then it says you're going to eat turkey, or you know what I mean. So it's one of those English things. And anyways, the rule book did clarify it, and I feel so much better. Because I was getting frustrated. I'm like, I don't understand why they worded it this way, but it makes total sense. Okay. Let's get on with it. It's my turn. That's right. I get to do an action and a special op. So I am now once again faced with this. I got to do my housing thing. If I do my assault, I will wipe out those 3. I will not be able to wipe out those 3. I'm now vulnerable there. I will be able to wipe out 1 there and 3 there. Now it's getting precarious because red is going to get to go again. And my situation is I see that one last population and I don't want EG to go negative. And as much as I was planning on assaulting, the orange player ruined my day. So I'm going to do another train plus entrench. And by the way, this is now coin control. So, but this time, actually, I'm going to do the entrench the exact same order. So I'm going to remove, I can't make a base there. I don't have any more bases. This base over here is worthless. So then I would do transport then. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do train and transport. And that's fine. So my transport is, I'm gonna take these 4 units and transport them to here. And let me just make sure, do I have to spend money for that? Any spaces with MG bases and 1 additional space. Hold on a second. That makes life tough because neither of these have a base. So I'm still going to do train and transport. And here's why. I'm going to be able to put 4 here for the train, and then 3 here for the train, and then I'm going to transport 2 of these 3 to there. So that works. And then with the 2 actions I have, I'm going to put a +1 there for housing. That moves me up 2. I'm 1 short of victory. The problem is I can't shift. Yeah, I can't shift if I do that. Over here. I'm just going to repair the damage. So that means though I have to pay 3, 6, I have to pay $9. So 23, 10 is 13, 1 is 14. So I repair this. I still get to do 1 more thing, but there's not anything else I can do there. But I at least have that one fixed again. All the population is where it needs to be. I got the troops where I want them to be. And it does mean that I could have moved these troops instead of these. And in fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put these 2 back. And then I'm going to just take 4 troops from over here and move those as part of the transport. Okay. I still need to do an assault, folks, and I'm running out of time. And I know I didn't bother putting these up here, but we're done. And now they get to go, and they're going to ruin my day here. So let's come over here. We have that, and then the flashpoint is 2. So a flashpoint is triggered. So it's going to go 1, 2. So let's do it properly this time. First things first is the Aldrin Cycler, and more stuff is piled up here. we have 6 supplies. And so that means we get 18. This is 14, 10, 20, 19, 18. One marker goes from Earth to transit. That's done. There are not 5 pieces for them to move. In fact, there's none. Corporate casualties don't happen. Improve. This moves up to 4. And so then, once again, 2 times 3 supplies come out. And 1 pop. And then they get their profits for 2 with each corporate terraforming base, then 1 for each additional terraforming base after the first in each desert. That's what after the first means. I mean, it makes sense now that you understand like how to structure that. I'm thinking, okay, this is the first one, and that's the second one. That's after the first one. It makes total sense. And in fact, you know, if you were a rules lawyer, you're like, well, it's written just fine as it is. You're just a moron. And that's true too. So I'm okay. They get 4 profit. One, 2, 3, 4. And then the dust storms remove all the raging and flip all the approaching to raging. So I'm doing that right now. 1, gone. Gone. Okay, so we have 4 ragings out there. So roll for new approaching storms equal to the number. So it's actually 2. And we only have 2 available. So 5, 1. Is this one. And then 4-2 is this one. If in unpopulated raging storm deserts without a coin base, remove 1 MG in security. In unpopulated or raging storm deserts without an RD base. Oh, unpopulated or raging storm. I may have been missing that, folks. Without an RD base, remove 1 rebel if possible. Okay, unpopulated, of course, means that it's damaged. So in like this case, that gets removed. And then in this case, see, the CR is not an RD, so we don't have to worry about that. We're okay because we're at a base, and all these other places are populated. It's only the damaged ones. But see, that one there is unpopulated, so both of these would have been removed. And I'm going to just, well, the problem is it's the casualties thing. They lose 1 for each base and 1 for every 2 security. It doesn't say what happens to Spec Ops. I guess nothing. So I will put it in here because technically the number matters. So that's the one thing. They would have lost those troops like a long time ago. So this is no longer under anyone's control. And if you keep going through, so now this is a raging storm, so they would have lost this one. And the raging storms don't impact if you're in the labyrinth, so that doesn't matter. And they lose one of these too. So they lost several. And yeah, those damage markers really do make those deserts tricky. So again, that was something I missed the whole game, but I'm glad we're catching it now. I also don't think it impacted the balance that much, but it's still important to get it right. So, pay more attention is really the motto of the day. Okay, so flashpoint's over. Now it's red and orange duking it out here. So red goes first, and this is not helpful to them at all. So, and same with orange. So I'm just going to put the event card to the side. Red is absolutely going to do a full action. I don't see why. Oh, we got to look at the next card. That's the one thing they might do. They might pass. I don't see them passing. Yeah, I don't see them passing for this. So they're going to do a full-blown action, and then orange will have to do a, they could do an event, because they have their cards. They only have one of these, but their card might help them. So they won't do the event card, but that's with the game here. But okay, let's do red. And this is the part that I'm nervous about, because I want one more turn, and of course they might attack me. In 2 or more popular space not at active opposition. Yes. Hidden rebel in any space with vulnerable enemy base. No. No. Because all their rebels got exposed. So, I mean, you could arguably say yes if Cordoba is... So Cordoba has base. And they have a hidden rebel there. So I'm going to say yes. Look, the orange player is not RD's friend. It's not just coin. It's also the church. They are not friends with each other. So the church base counts, but it's not a vulnerable base. That's the key thing. Well, hold on. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 RD rebels. And there's 5 church rebels. So they would cancel each other out and they would not hit the base. So that's not vulnerable. So yeah, we're flipping over to no. So they're going to do campaign. So bolster opposition and build momentum. Populated spaces with RD rebels. So we're going to use shift towards active opposition. They're going to shift these ones back. That's what they're going to do. But we're going to find out real soon here. What did I do with the player aid? Here we go. Okay, so for the red player, shift towards active opposition is, first of all, any space that's not at active opposition, which is almost the entire board. So we're going to keep going. Most population, and that's the reason why I told you they're going to do these two. Those both have 4 population each. Now, we're not quite done because I am going to put the markers here. There is one other place that has 4 population, and that's this one. So we have to keep going here. The campaign can hit unlimited spaces, but we've got to narrow this down to 1. MG is the player, so most support is the next one. So that would be that one, is the clear winner. So I'm going to put a white on this one, because that's the one that's going to trigger campaign. And what does campaign do? In each space, activate 1 rebel. If none active, then shift 1 level towards active opposition. So this is going to go from active support to passive support, which means I lose 4 points. Done. Okay, it's not over yet. Let me keep reading. And draw a campaign card. If the space is now passive support, place 1 damage. Jeez Louise. Set EG negative and -2 profits if corporate base is there. Then play 1 campaign card and shuffle the rest back in the deck. Okay, so EG goes negative. they're gonna do a damage, and I don't know, like, we were doing the right to left thing, but I guess that means this goes back into displaced population, and we don't do damage markers on these. At least I don't think we do. Let me check. Okay, I'm glad I checked. So the way damage marker works is that it's always placed, but see, the damage marker goes here, and then all the yellow ones go off. So we just lost 2 more points. Actually 3 because of the damage. So we go down 3 more. This was not a very fun one. And of course there's no corp base there. And then they play a campaign card. Corp units do not contribute towards control in labyrinths. Well, there's no corp units anywhere anyway, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, so that's the first space. They could potentially go somewhere else, so let's roll. Thank goodness, they failed. So, campaign is over. Next, they have to select a special activity. They're going to do coordinate. Look at that, house. Doing place population. So they destroy something and now they want to place. So I'm going to look at their place population. It has to be most opposition and most RD rebels. So they can't house here. The most opposition would be there. So they're going to put a pop here, which does give them 2 points. So let me do that right now. Okay, that's done. And then we have to roll again. They keep going. So now they're going to house again, and they can't do the same location. It has to be different locations. So there's a raging storm there, so they can't do that one. That has opposition. Everything else, well, this one has opposition. So now they're going to house here, and that really hurts because that's the last population. So I got to have an EG negative affecting me here, but that gives them another 1 point. And they're up to 25. There's no population left. So then shift towards active opposition is something they would have to roll for, and they did succeed. A 2 is brutal. So this is coordinate. Coordinate is only for 2 spaces, so they're done. They can't do anything more. They didn't do any repair. They didn't do the remove cubes thing. Activate a hidden rebel to repair or house once if desired, then shift 1 level towards opposition, or if already active, remove 2 troops. Okay, so they would have removed these 2 here because it was already active, and they would have moved this towards full opposition, which gives them another 2 points. So now they're up to 27. All right, that's fair. I think that covers that hurt. Now, granted, I want to assault them, so they opened the door for me to be able to do that, but that still hurt. I need to pause real quick. Okay, I am back. So we know that red did the full deal. So now orange, as you know, was not interested in the event that's provided by the game, but if we go through, they're asking, is the next event critical? They're never going to be first, so this is always a no for them. The first eligible chosen event, no. Did they choose the Op plus SA and the current event is critical and performed and effective? The answer is no, but this is the part, right? So they have 1, so they get to draw 1 card, and if it's an event, they're going to do it. It's not. So that means they're doing the they don't have an asset total of 5 or more. So they're going to do the limited op. So let's go ahead and do the limited op. This means it's only one space, folks. I got to remind myself of that. I punish myself unnecessarily. All right, so I'm getting rid of some corpse. Here we go. All right, any CR base in a space. So anyways, so they do a minimum of 2 spaces even if it is a limited op. So that's the one weird thing about this. Limited op is 1 space for all the rest of us, but for them it's 2. And I'm glad they put the reminder up here because I would have just forgot. Any CR base in a space with no hidden rebel. No. So it says new card. See, that's where they need that because they need to deploy troops. Any available bases? Yes. 2d6 less than, yes, I'm not even going to bother, well, I'll roll, but yeah, 7 is way less. So yes and yes, so they're going to rally. Place a base where 3 or more rebels, there are no places that meet that condition. So they're not going to be able to place a base, even though there's available bases. Alternate placing rebels and upgrading bases. So this is going to be brutal because there's not that many locations, but it's first thing we got to do is place rebels. So let's start with that one. The one difference though is they can go anywhere now. Before they always had certain places that got taken. So let's see, place rebels. A CR base with no hidden rebel doesn't exist. A vulnerable enemy base. So this is rally. Let me check the conditions for rally. Any neutral space. Is there a neutral space with a vulnerable enemy base? And that includes red. No. There's hardly any neutral spaces on the board at all, but definitely not one with an enemy base. So no CR control. So a neutral space with no CR control. There's several. So we have this one. We have that one. I need to get the markers off these other spaces. Got that one. There's 3. That has control. That one. That one. I think that covers them all. There's a raging storm. I'm not going to choose that one. Okay, so the next one. Most bases. That lowers it down to 1. This one right here. That's the only one with a base. So nope. We have 2 of them. So this is the other one. So this rally action can be, it's a minimum of 2 spaces. So yeah, we got our 2 spaces right there. But the thing is we're supposed to do a rebels and then a base upgrade. So we're only choosing 1 location for rebels, so we got to keep going. But that does mean we can remove these other greens. We're down to 2. Most support is the next one. Well, they're neutral. Why would it say no? Next one. Fewest enemy forces. They're actually tied. Okay, most population. This one is out. It's that one. So what do they do with rally? Great question. Where did the sheet go? Oh, here it is. So for rally, they're going to place one rebel or replace two with a base. If there was a base, they would do something else. So they're going to place one rebel there. Just one. All that work for one rebel. Okay, so that's that. So that one is done. Now we got to see if they can upgrade a base. So the base upgrade criteria is neutral, most CR rebels. That would be in New Cordoba here. Yeah. I thought that their conversion center, it doesn't need to be in a desert, does it? I'm going to look it up real quick. I don't think it's the terraforming that needs to be in the desert. That's why the corporations get benefits from that. So yeah, I think they're going to get a conversion center going, which is good because that reduces the profits of the yeah. So it is the Cordoba location. So they are going to upgrade one of their bases there, like that. And let me just make sure the rally, like how does it work? Upgrade one CR base to a conversion center and draw an asset card. So they get one more chip. Okay, that's the rally. Now they have the other thing, which is special activity, purify. Ooh, they can replace a base? Ooh. So up to 2 spaces with CR control and a hidden CR rebel. Okay, CR control is only 2 spaces. Here and there. And so then purify, activate a hidden rebel to replace an enemy unit with a CR rebel. Replace 2 units if a conversion center is present, or if enemy base with no friendly units present. Replace that enemy base with a conversion center and draw an asset card. All replaced forces go to available, not casualties. Well, the enemy in this case is nothing, so they can't do anything here. This is technically another space, but there's no enemy there either. But they do have a conversion center here, which they're going to then be able to replace 2. So these 2 die, and then 2 more come out. So Orange has no shortage of troops in that one city, but they're nowhere else. And their turn's over. So that's the only good news, is their turn is over. They did their 2 things. Oh, it's a limited op. They don't do special activity. So I always screw something up, folks. I was actually excited. They killed 2 Martian rebels. So 2 red dusters, but I will take these 2 back. Okay, they still do the conversion center though. That happened. So, all right, they are done. They move to ineligible. We move to eligible. I am pausing it again. All right, I am back. Let's get rocking. This goes over. We move flashpoint up 2. We're at 0 right now, so that moves it up 2. And let's look at our situation. Corporation goes first. And we need to look at the next one. So none of them are critical. There are opportunities here to make EG go plus. So that's something we need to consider. Oh man, I wanted to do an assault. Okay. Yeah, this one's not going to help us at all. This top one, it just lets the EG go plus. I mean, if I pass, I do get to go first. Shift any 2 deserts, 1 towards neutral. increase profits by 3 or place 3 supply markers on Earth. That is good. And it gives us an EG plus, but it means I don't get to assault yet again. And I'm ready for it. They got all their stuff exposed. Okay, let's see what they're gonna do. Is the current event critical and effective? No. In fact, it's got the corporate slash through it. Is it eligible, critical for second faction? No. Is the next event critical for them? No, we already checked. What's next? Next event is critical and they'll be first. No, we checked that too. That's what we just checked. Never mind. They're doing op plus SA, which means we could do the event. I don't know. Let's see what they do. We gotta get to a point where they do something with Phobos there. 2d6 less than or equal to available security. No. Yeah, the answer is no. They have no security available at all. Well, they technically have 3 OPSEC. Any non-terraforming corp bases in deserts? No, new card. At least 2 populated spaces with a corp base, and the corp forces greater than MG forces and no damage. There's 1. Yeah, there's 2. Assault could remove an enemy base or 2 or more rebels in 1 space. And I'm going to look at Assault. I don't think Assault allows them to move. So the answer would be no. Yeah, because those rebels up there are hidden, even though they're in the same space as the corporation. Yeah, the answer is no. So we flip it over, and we're doing the damn logistics again. That's all we do is the same thing again and again and again and again. I think some of this is happening because the other AIs go and we barrel through the corporate cards that would help them. So like this one here, any available corp base, and then if I flip this over, see, look at that, recon, secure, this would help them. But see, this was the very next card in the shuffle. So now, orange and red are gonna go, and orange is gonna take us to here, and then red is gonna take us to there. And so this card that would help them keeps getting lost in the shuffle. That's what's happening, is we're, because the way the rules work is it's one deck, and you just keep discarding to the bottom of the deck until you get the next color for that faction. And what's happening is that the ones that are deploying the troops for them keep getting passed up. Because they keep getting to this one, which is the worthless one, over and over and over again. This is the same one they've gotten every time, this whole game. There's something broken about this. And, there's no shuffling of this or anything. It's just the way it is. The only thing that will fix it is they need to pass so that way they can be eligible some other time. Now, one of the criteria for passing is if this is not effective or they can't, do anything. So the first thing they have is exploit. There is this public relations one, but the exploit one, they can increase profits by population and then shift 1 towards neutral. So that just means this one would shift to neutral, which reduces us by 1. It does help them. And then there's population of 1 2, 3, so they move up 3 in profit. So it does help them. It's not horrible. So the exploit is done. Then they do the logistics. They can't upgrade a base. There's no additional bases. There's no corp units to place on Earth. I mean, actually, they can do one. They can do the OPSEC. Resolve the Adler cycle, but no population to transit. And then they can place one to put security, but they have no security. There's none there. So by doing the Adler cycle, that's different than Flashpoint. So Flashpoint would resolve that. Adler cycle is just, this does go here, and the population doesn't move, but they move these, because they have to move 5 items. And that's it. That was their turn. They gain profit. So if anything, I give them credit that they gain profit. And in fact, they're on their way towards winning, even with this ridiculous situation. That's the reason why we need to become Earth governor. We need to take control of the white cubes so we can start getting them out. So that's why the EG Plus is so important for us. And so I either have to do this event, which is worthless. I can pass and do the next event, but then I run the risk of what if the dust storm comes? I guess I still would get to do that next event. That next event's more useful. So I could theoretically pass, and since I'm going first, I mean, it is possible that they could roll and take first from me because I'm second in the queue. Here, let me show you. I'm second, so all they have to do is win twice, and then they get to go first. So I could have that backfire on me. But one other thing just happened, and that is there is a population there, so I can get the EG Plus that way, but then I can't assault anymore. So if I look at all my actions here, there's recon and secure. Assault does not let me, I can do petition or transport. And see, neither of those let me do the house thing. And that's the part that makes me sad. Oh, and here's something about the orange player. Look at this. They may draw 1 asset card after performing a limited operation, which they just did. So now they have 3, which increases their chances of passing me up if I pass. I do want the EG Plus, because I got to get those troops off of the corporation's hand. But with that said, I'm at a ripe opportunity to do an assault. And the problem is that the RD rebels are so greedy with the population. They will do it. Even a train action, I don't even have enough troops to do a train action. But I feel like I got to do it. Well, I'm going to assault. I have to. There's no better time than now. 3 resources per space. Each space, remove 1 active enemy force per active coin unit. In labyrinths, assaulted factions may then free attack, or anywhere with a dug-in base. But they're not going to get the free attack, because I'm going to choose 1, 2. Now, if I attack that one, they could free attack. That one there. But I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 for sure. That's 9. And you know what? I'm going to do, well, so if they do a free attack, then what happens is these two wake up and they're going to kill 2 of my units. That's what the free attack means. Let me make sure that's all they do. Oh, they're going to roll dice. They could place a damage. Then each die result less will remove 2 troops. That's right. They'll be down to 2. So the problem is any die result of a 1 or a 2 would kill 2 of my troops there. So the problem is if I leave all 3 there, well, first of all, this is no longer under their control. Yeah, I'm going to assault all 4. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 12 money. So I'm at 32. I go down to 20. There's still lots of money to be had. I'm going to kill all 4 of these, including the orange one, which is what makes that so glorious. Here I'm going to kill all 3. There's no retaliation. Here I'm going to kill all 3. No retaliation. And here I'm going to kill 1. And then there's going to be retaliation. So they're going to roll 2 dice. And they have to get less than or equal to a 2. And I got a 6 and a 4, which means they miss royally, so they don't do anything to me. Yes, that's a good move. All right, so then this one goes to our control. And look, I want to do something about that population. I want to get the EG to plus, but that was a beautiful, beautiful turn. We were postponing it and postponing it and postponing it, and I couldn't postpone it anymore. So I think I did the right thing, and unfortunately, oh no, oh no, oh no, it's a limited op, because black went full op. Three comes back. 3 comes back. 1 comes back. 1 comes back. And 3 comes back. It's a limited up. I can only choose one place to do it. That is not as worth it, is it? No, it's not. I had it. Dang it, black had to go first. I can do a limited op or the event. Or I pass. By the way, I got to give myself my money back. I'm back up to 32. Or I pass, and then I go first the next turn, which would then let me do it. Or I can just do the event, which gives me my EG, but I can't do both. I can do the population thing now. I mean, for sure. I could do a train, I can do a secure. Sure, I will do a secure action. So 1, 2, 3 goes down on my, because I'm going to pay 3 for one location, and that location is going to be Europa. So the secure action, I can move troops to that place. Activate 1 rebel for each MG troop, and I may remove a troop to make a base. So I'm going to activate both rebels. I don't need to move anybody. Although, adjacent spaces along maglev lines and between controlled spaceports. So it is important. You have to control the spaceport to be able to do that. These guys aren't adjacent, or otherwise we're going to move them. So I did that, and then what happens is, okay, they're all exposed now. So if I did get another action, now I'm going to devastate them even more. But then what it says is, then may house or repair in one destination. So I'm going to house here, so I at least get my EG plus back. So that's better than doing the event, but still blows. So we're both ineligible. Now those two are back. This card goes away. Next card is a 4 for the flashpoint, and sure enough, the flashpoint happens. So now we gotta do that. So the flashpoint round, move all pieces to Phobos. This is 6 times 3, that's $18 more. 29, 39, 49 minus 2. I'm all the way up to 47. I can't spend the money fast enough right now. The population moves from Earth to transit. There's no other pieces to move. There's only 1 dead unit, so they don't lose any profits. We get to improve the Earth, and so now we're finally under control. We now control the Earth government, and so 2 more supply markers come out, and 2 population instead of 1. Increased profits, so they get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They are close to winning the game. Reduce profits by 1 for each conversion center that's in a desert. That's the reason I was thinking about deserts. They have a conversion center, but it's not in a desert. Remove all raging storms. There's 3 of them to remove. Flip the other ones. A 4th raging storm is removed. So these flip. There's 2 of them currently out there. Roll for new storms, and we drew a 4. So we're going to roll for 4 of them. So let me back this up. A 4, 5 goes here. So the labyrinth, I know we haven't explained this in a while, but the raging storm over a labyrinth just means you can't transport in and out, but you can still do actions. So whoever's inside can still, attack each other or whatever. You just can't do anything that would involve moving in and out of the area. Okay, so next one is a 4, 5 again, which turns this into a raging storm. Next one is a 2, 2, which is up there. It goes here. It's an approaching storm. And last one, 5, 3, goes here. Okay, then the Reclaimer may remove 1 enemy force if a marker flipped to Raging Storm. So they can remove one of the forces here because of Raging Storm. So we got to look at the peace priority. So bases, of course, are first, but we're not doing that. Satellites. Earth government troops. Then MG troops. So one of our troops goes. No surprise there. Okay, so then the unpopulated Raging Storm deserts without a coin base, remove a troop. And unpopulated or Raging Storm. So if there's no base. So this security force is lost to casualties. And then nothing happens to the labyrinth on either of those. The reason they got to remove a troop, by the way, is if you rolled an approaching storm and then it upgraded to a Raging Storm because you rolled the same thing again. Orange gets to destroy an enemy there. That's what it says on this flashpoint card. And I believe that's it. In a populated spaces with a conversion center, place one rebel. So that's not it. They do get to place one more, and of course, they just keep putting all their troops in one basket. All right, so we are resolving this card, orange and red. So orange only needs to move up one space to go first. They rolled a 3, 3, and 5, and they have 3, so they're going to spend 1, so they get to go first. So they took first from red. Let's figure out what they're going to do. Is the current event critical and effective? No. You can see it's a big negatory. Then it says if it's the church, they can check for a critical asset event. Yes. So they have 2 of these left. So they're going to draw 2 cards. And they got an event. They got 2 events, but this one has a star on it. See that? That's a critical event. So this one goes away. They're choosing this one. Catastrophic impact. Place 2 damage in a labyrinth. Then remove half the units there. Round it up. Ooh. Okay, so we got to look up that one. So there's these church ones here, right? So CR7, CR8. What's the number on this one? See, it says CR8 right there on the bottom right. So for CR8, use place damage, but skip the fewest enemy forces row. I don't even know what that means. Place 2 damage in a labyrinth, then remove half the forces. Skip the enemy forces row. It says skip the fewest enemy forces row. There's no fewest enemy forces written anywhere on here. So I think then it's probably just some kind of typo, and he probably changed this text on this card but didn't update the player aid. So we will skip the part where he removes the units. But he does have to place 2 damage in a labyrinth, and it doesn't give us any direction on, okay, which bubble chart do we use for that? So let me look real quick. Oh, there's a place damage. I didn't even see that. Look at that, place damage. So they want to do it if MG is the player, where there's most support. And then fewest enemy forces, and then most population. So it has to be a labyrinth, so that narrows it down. Most support is there, and there. There's 3. That's the only ones, there's 3. So then it says fewest enemy most support, fewest enemy forces. All right, that one has 8. That has 6, 7, 8, 9. This has 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the fewest. So they're going to damage it twice. So that means damage. And then 2 population is going to go back and displaced. And we do lose 4 points. Okay. Well, I mean, that was definitely a critical event for them. It was certainly better than this one. This one would have shifted any 2 deserts. So that's done. So that means they did the event. So now it's Red's turn. And Red can do a full action, and they probably will. So let's see. Is the next event critical? This is the next event, and the answer is no. So, did the first available? Yes. So they're going to do an op plus SA. So the only good news here is Orange didn't do a card, so the corporate card is still there. And the corporation will finally do an action other than the one it keeps doing. Because this corporate card that we were talking about, see how it's buried right there? Orange would put this one in the back, and then this red card would go back, and then Orange would activate one of these 2, right? So then it would be Red's turn, which it is now, and Red would cause this one to go to the back, and so this card never comes up. Well, this time around, Orange didn't use the card. So we move this back, and then Red is going to activate this one. Now, if this ends up not being true, and this happens, then we're still going to be in the same boat, but let's hope that isn't the case. 3 more rebels in any space. Yes. So they're not drawing another card. 3 more rebels in a populated space with room for an available base and no support. The no support part, there is 1, but there's no room for a base. Right here. That's a raging storm, so we can't choose that one. Oh. The answer is no. They're still going to use the card, they just flip it over. Okay, so select 1 special activity. They're going to try to ambush. Ambush requires a hidden rebel. So they can only ambush. We can just tell you right now, ambush can only be done in 1 spot. And it's not against me. Because they have to have a hidden rebel. Ambush requires it. Let me make sure, but ambush, up to 2 attack spaces with a hidden rebel. So, they can do 2 spots. They can do 2 spots. So it's this one, Cordoba, and this one with the corporation. Now the thing is attack is going to choose 2 different places. Very likely going to choose 2 different places, but we're going to flip and then flip. Because the attack action I mean, this is different, actually, than... And the answer is yes, there was 3 or more rebels, so they did this. Then they're going to attack at support first. Then with 3 or more rebels and no opposition, and then where all rebels are already active. So they want to attack here and there. See what I mean? They're going to attack elsewhere. So my only consolation is I hope this ends. So which one of the places are they going to attack? There's multiple places. So I got to go through their attack priorities. Most support. So this one's out. That one and that one are still in. Actually, this one's in too. So there were 4 places with all 3 already active. So 3 of them are still in. Vulnerable enemy base. No. No RD control. That doesn't eliminate any of them. Most RD rebels, they're all the same. Fewest enemy forces. So that one has 5. This one has 4. So this is the winner chicken dinner right here. So they're going to attack that one, which is not an ambush spot. They rolled a 5 and a 4. Both of those numbers are greater than the number that they have. So if the sum is equal to or less than the total forces, so the sum has to be less than in order for them to place a damage, then each die, if it's less than they kill guys. This was an order failure. And so they did nothing to that spot. Now we roll, and if they get higher than a 3, or lower than a 3, or equal, they're done. So they don't do an ambush anywhere. It's so bizarre. The ambush thing needed to be, it needs to say attack with ambush. And Pendragon does that. There's an attack with ambush. So they combine the 2 together, and then it's done. But again, it could be for balance reasons, right? The Red Dust player is close to winning the game. So is the corporate player. So why am I complaining, right? They're doing just fine without this added boost. So I need to just, thank my lucky stars that the AI is dumb. I guess the reason I don't care for it that much is because I want this to emulate a human player as best as possible, but it sort of fails in that department. Not to say I'm still not having fun. It's just, it's a little wonky. Okay, they're both done. So we move them to ineligible. And then we draw our next flashpoint, which is a 3. And then we have this going on. So corporate's going to get to go first between the 2 of us. And just pulled this over to show that there's no critical for either of us. This one, replace 4 rebels with either Corp Security or MG troops. And then the EG goes to plus. This one, activate all Spec Ops and rebels in one space. With Spec Ops, then Corp may free assault there, which I'm not going to help them. So we're going to have them go there, and this is what's going to happen. They're going before us, so we're going to get to a limited op again. So our dang assault situation is going to screw us over yet again. So we could pass, so then we at least go first. Although yellow, if they roll well enough, could bump in front of us. And the reason I want to go first is I want to assault. And also by assaulting, I get to do a transport action, which moves all those white cubes everywhere. And then also, additionally, I get to remove all those pieces. I think a dust storm is coming soon. I mean, we can try to count the cards here. I mean, look at the situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So that's one whole deck. The dust storm card is already separated. So that was the first dust storm batch. Now we're in the second batch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means a dust storm can come. And then this is 7, this is 8, and then that one's 9. So we're getting very, very close to dust storm, folks. So if I'm going to assault these people, I got to do it now. The problem is with the dust storm, I can't let the corporations win either. They are for profit away from winning, and they got the bases to give them for profit. I'm going to lose. I don't think I can stop the corporation. And the fact that they get to go first here is killing us. I would have been better off if they would have tried to pass, because they wanted to go to the next action. Okay, so is the current event critical? No. Is it critical for me? No. Is the next event critical for them? No. They're going to do a full op plus SA, which means that we would have a limited op or the event. And the event being the spec ops, which is the most horrible thing. Now, I could do this one. RD can place 2 rebels in a labyrinth, then free ambush there. Flip all rebels in that labyrinth to hidden after the ambush is executed. You know what's awesome about that one? I could do that one, and I get to choose which labyrinth, and I would choose Cordoba, so I can have them wipe out all those orange troops there. I mean, you can do that. That is totally within what this allows you to do. Or actually, I could have them ambush the corp base, right? Because they can kill 2 of those units, which would then cause them to lose a profit. And also, if they had 1 more unit there, they could have killed the base. They get to place 2 rebels in a labyrinth. Never mind. So that's the problem. Or if I'm willing to sacrifice myself, I can put 2 of them in this labyrinth. See, and that would get them to 5, but I have 5 units, and so they would kill my 5 units, and then that base stays alive. That base actually isn't what hurts me. It's the desert. I need to destroy. Yeah, I mean, attacking orange is fine and dandy, but I mean, it would be fun, like, to do that, but it's not helping us win. We have to create casualties. So I can do a limited op, but that assault that I'm setting up for here, it's not good. It's just not good, folks. Okay, well, let's do their turn. And the good news is we know that they're going to get to the card that they need right here. So any available corp bases, yes. Assault could remove an enemy base or 2 or more rebels in 1 space. Yes, they have 3 rebels, in fact, with their base right there. So, oh my gosh, because that answer is yes, they're not doing the recon. Okay, so to remove rebel bases, they can't do that. They are not the EarthGov controller. Using remove. So let's look up their action. Assault says any space with corp force is an enemy, and each space may activate any spec ops, then remove 1 enemy force per coin unit. It's just like ours. In labyrinths or friendly dug-in bases, they may attack back. So it's saying use remove, you know, to get priority. There's only 1 space where they can do this. So, yeah. So they're going to do it here, and they get to remove 2 troops. So we got to use the priority table. And for rebels, Oh, hold on. They can't kill two. They're not revealed. That's not going to work. So they do flip over the card. This required them to be able to kill two rebels, and they can't because only one of them is revealed. All right, so they do flip over the card. My apologies. Any desert without corp bases and reachable by corp units. Yes. So recon. Using move priorities. So recon does what? Enter deserts and reveal rebels there. So the good news is there's only one place to move from, and that's Phobos. But I don't think they can go. So it says any spaces with corp forces and enemy force. No, recon. You can't go from Phobos straight to a desert. So are we going to deal with the fact that there's this weird restriction? Because the movement is not going to. They need to do something other than recon. They don't have control of the satellites anymore. It says move a satellite to any desert without a raging storm to activate 2 additional rebels with recon there. I mean, we could try to do this move priority thing. I just don't know, what are they going to move? The Phobos cannot get directly to a desert. So there's nothing to move. So let's go back to this. Any desert without corp bases reachable by corp units. So technically speaking, they can move from here and from there because there are deserts that are reachable. So let's figure out what they would do. Select an origin space not already selected as a destination. Most movable forces not required to remain in origin per instruction below. So let's figure that out. Keep sufficient forces to change no control. Technically, this is no control because it's 3 and 3. Next one. Keep acting cubes greater than rebels in origin. Keep corp forces greater than MG forces. Keep 4 cubes in spaces with the corporate base. See, 4 cubes. So they're not going to move. So that means they're not going to do that action. So the answer is no. So now they're going to do secure, which this is better. Because using move priorities, they want to place the destination in all places with 3 or more cubes. Let's go to secure. Move corp units to destination labyrinths from adjacent spaces, along maglev lines and between controlled spaceports. Moving units must stop upon reaching enemy control. After moving, activate 1 rebel for each corp unit and may remove 1 security to available to place a corp base. Then may house or repair in 1 destination. So you can see they want to place a base in all destination with 3 or more cubes and no corp base. Housing in 1 destination with a corp base using place population. So that's going to determine where they want to do the housing. But they want to do move priorities. So again, there are move priorities here. The origin is Phobos. So they don't need to keep anything in Phobos. So I don't need to check that part anymore. I'm now selecting forces to move to destination. So get one acting faction unit to a destination. What is that destination supposed to be? So let me check. Secure destination is a bubble chart thing. So let's do that first. Like, where do they want to go? They want to go rebel at Corp base. Okay, that's only in the desert. This is a labyrinth only action. So, oh, there is a rebel at a Corp base. So the first destination is right here. So I'm going to put a marker there to denote that. Now understand that there's no AN for Corp Ops, so they can pick all the destinations they want. So we keep going. Corp base was 0 to 3 cubes. That's the same location. Coin units, less than rebel forces where there's Corp forces. Still the same location. A conversion center. That's this location. That's going to be a brouhaha. A rebel base. Two more locations. Fewest rebel forces. So in terms of priority, these two are the priority. But yeah, we got it. So now we got to go to the movement thing. How many are they going to move to each location is the question. So get one acting faction unit to the destination. So they're not in control of the white cubes anymore, but they're in control of their own. So we're going to get 1, 1, 1, and 1. Get acting faction units equal to hidden rebels. So that's already equal. That's equal. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be a brouhaha right there. Destination is not wilderness. So we're skipping that one. Get coin control. This one requires 4. This one requires 4. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So they were able to get coin control of that one and coin control of that one. Coin control was already here. That one they weren't able to get. So they moved everything they could move. It says get Corp forces greater than MG forces. So this is the one place they couldn't do it. It's a lower priority. Get 4 cubes to a Corp base. Also lower priority. Get 3 security to destination if there's no Corp base. Yeah, and 1 spec ops. And we did make sure, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move one of these spec ops to here because they want a spec ops at every location. So we can do that without disrupting the priorities. All right, so now we do the secure action. So we move to those locations and then they stop reaching enemy control, activate 1 rebel for each Corp unit, and may remove 1 security to available to place a corporate base, then may house or repair 1 destination. So activate, activate. They can't put a base on either of these. This one, they really don't do anything because they're already activated. And then this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all of them activated. That whole area is activated. And then they're going to remove 1 to available. They cannot. That also has maximum bases. None of these let them build a base, except for this one, which, yeah, I gotta change my mind again. This would have been there instead, so they removed this so they can build a second base here. Oof, okay. That's what it looks like. So that was secure. Then for the special activity, oh, I'm sorry, they got one more thing. They can, in one of those places, house or repair. So we got to look at their bubble sheet again. They want to do it where there's the most corporate forces. That would be here. So that would be a house. And then what's funny is they actually set the EG to negative because I'm in control now. So they don't help me anymore by doing that. Okay, and then the next one, special activity, public relations repair using place population. So they want to repair where there's the most corporate forces. That's not the case. So what's next? Labyrinth with corp greater than MG, not happening, most population. Right now, that's a tie between here and here. They both have 1. So we keep going. Most support. That would be this one. So they're going to repair one of these, and that uses up the last population. And yeah, EG is still negative. Okay, so we at least got their troops out on the board. I'm happy with that. So now it's to us. We got to either do a limited op or the event. Or I'm considering passing, because this event stinks. It's activate all spec ops and rebels in one space with spec ops, then corp may free assault there. Actually, you know what? I want to do the event now. This is really good, actually. It's just one space. Oh, I want to do it in every space. So here, I can wipe out the bases from one of these spots. Or I can wipe out all that stuff up there. I mean, the resistance really would be crushed. So it would activate a spec ops and remove 1 force per coin unit. Yeah, we could wipe out 2 of the red dust bases from one of these locations. The thing is what does that buy us? I still need the corporation to reduce their profits, and I don't know how to pull that off. They need more casualties. You know what I could do is I could choose Cordoba, have them free assault, and the red dust would be able to assault back because they're not going to be able to kill everybody. I can kill all the orange ones and maybe one red. And assaulted factions may then free attack. So I could actually even kill all the red and let orange free attack. Just kill one of the oranges, because I'm going to assault both of those factions. And then orange would kill all those cubes, and that would cause them to lose profit. And even though they're going to get 4 profit from the flashpoint, right now 4 gets them a win. So if I killed those black cubes up there, I can reduce their profit probably by, I'm guessing, 2, maybe 3. So then when they gain the 4 profit, they're not going to win. The problem is we're close to a flashpoint already, and that's not counting the flashpoint. Well, see, the flashpoint that happens during the dust storm occurs after the victory check. So we just need to survive a flashpoint. Oh man, I want to do so many other things, but this is, I think, necessary. I wanted to get all the MG Earth government forces out, but to be honest, if a dust storm's coming in the next turn, all the Earth forces go back to Phobos anyways. So that's not going to help me. I'm going to distribute them all out, and then they're going to go right back. I think that is the right thing to do. I'm going to take the event. I have a limited option anyways. So we're going to take this one, Resistance Crushed. Or I can do this one, have the red dust, put 2 rebels in that labyrinth, then free ambush the black cubes and the orange cubes. They would attack both. Flip all rebels to hidden after. That's the bad one. Let's do Resistance Crushed. Activate all Spec Ops and rebels in one space with Spec Ops. And they do have a Spec Ops there. Then, so it says Corp may free assault, but I'm the one doing the action. And what do I do if it's the AI deciding whether they're going to free assault? I think I get to tell them to do it, don't I? Let's see, they do have some golden rules here. See, the problem is, if they get to choose, they would refuse because they know that it would result in them losing profit. I don't know. Okay, so jury is out on this one. So here's your first piece of evidence. This faction, or this event card is here, and it says that they would activate the Spec Ops and remove hidden select one space with Spec Ops and hidden rebels to do card 12. So that doesn't mean though, so like in this case, it would backfire and cause them to actually not win the game. Like it's literally that important. And so, you know, is there like a golden rule that says always, you know, it says when in doubt, randomize. I don't want to choose to do the event and then have it randomly say, nope, sorry. The event is only worth me doing if it works in my way. So that's the problem. I'm not going to do the event if it's just a roll. So it says skip illegal instructions. Yeah, that's fine. Implement all instructions literally, also fine. It does not cover this. So I think we have to make a decision. I mean, obviously the rules show that the corporate player will participate in this if the opportunity arises. Like, it has instructions on how to execute this. It does say execute everything literally. So it doesn't say, hey, if it's going to cause them to lose the game, they will refuse to do it. So I'm reading too much into it, I think. I'm going to go ahead and do it and take it literally. So we will do the event. This will execute. I gotta stand up. So that means they're gonna activate this spec up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them will, it's ambush or it's attack, right? It's assault. So we're gonna assault 6 of them. So I'm gonna kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red dust rebels and 1 orange. Actually, they have a priority. Let me check. What is their priority? Their priority is orange over the rebels. So now this might make it interesting because they're going to kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Now, here's the next question. If there's red dust rebels there, can they destroy the orange base? That's a great question. Let me look it up. And we know that there's a base's last rule, but what does last mean? Rebel bases may only be removed once none of their faction's rebels remain in space. So, you know what? This is not going to cause them to get killed. They're just going to remove one of the orange bases. And that's it. That's all they're going to do. And it's actually going to be a really effective way to get rid of all these troops. Because orange is their priority. So they'll go after orange instead of the red dust. In labyrinths or with friendly dug-in base, assaulted factions may then free attack. So is the red dust considered to be assaulted even though they weren't actually touched? I mean, they're in the space and the assault occurred there. I don't know. We're getting into all these fringe things, aren't we? In labyrinths, or if red dust, rebel factions whose forces were removed may free attack. Red dust is first, then reclaimers. For a free attack to take place as a result of an assault, at least one friendly rebel must still be present. If both were removed, then both can free attack. So that's the part that's interesting. So now we got, they actually have, in the AI booklet, they go into like recon and it tells you to use and move priorities. There's probably actually some extra clarification here that I would benefit from. But here's like, for example, the assault procedure. Select spaces using remove. The space is already selected for them. Assault to remove rebel bases. use the remove or replace column, activate spec ops. They will only attack after assault if there is no opposition. Would not, and if doing so, would not activate the last rebel base. MPCR will only attack after assault if doing so. Okay. Yeah, none of that helps us. This event is not going to work the way we thought. So I got to retcon my decision there. 1, 2, 3, 4. The spec ops is not revealed. 5 and 6. Yeah, that's not going to go the way we thought. That orange would end up losing a base, which, you know, that's still a glorious and fun thing to trigger, but it's not worth the event. So what are we going to do? We're going to do a limited op, which means we can only affect one space. And that's what hurts. I'm going to pass. So they go to ineligible. All three of us are available. And then this is the card for this turn. Here's the new reveal. It's a 0. So we don't get the flashpoint. That might be the luckiest thing that has ever happened to us. It's not only did we not get the flashpoint, but it's also not the red storm. So it's got to be coming. It's the next card or the one after. There can't be that many left. So here's the good news. We're first, but they could try to snag it from us because they only need to move 2. So let's roll. And this one is less, but they only have 2. So these 2 are more. They do get to move up 1, so it's going to be me and then orange. Red's going to get screwed. They're not going to go this turn. And then before we put the card back, all 3 of these are no bueno. My dog's having a good time. You can see her probably in the camera there. So these are all no bueno. Let me look at it. Activate all rebels. Yeah, it's a very corp-centric action, which of course is going to be good for the corporation. But now we have a lot of choices here. The flash didn't happen. So then, you know, that red dust is coming, right? So it might be the very next card. I think if we counted it, there's hardly any cards left. This does get us back to EG positive, which helps us. We can replace 4 rebels. This kills 4 rebels. I mean, I'm going to kill way more than 4 if I do my assault action. I'm going to get to kill 3, 6, 9, 12. Way more than 4. I do get to move EG to positive, but I'm okay with EG being negative. I am going to lose control, yes, but I can get it back. There's population coming, and then we can do an action to make it positive again, and then a flashpoint will move it back, and then we can get the troops moved, and hopefully that'll be after the dust storm, so we actually have some more turns to control the troops. Like right now, moving those troops does mean nothing. So I'm going to look at my actions here. Obviously, if I do an assault, I can do a petition or transport. The transport would be moving those white troops, which is too little too late. But the petition would put a whole bunch of supply for every 3 rebels activated by the accompanying operation. Holy crap, I would get more money than you could ever imagine. I think I'm going to assault. I'm going to assault with petition. Check this out. The petition is not just one space. Place one supply on Earth plus one supply for every 3 rebels activated. Oh, activated. We're not activating anything, we're killing them. See, then reduce profits by 1 for each supply placed. If the accompanying operation remove more rebel forces than coin forces, set EG to plus and reduce profits by 2. Oh my gosh, this is perfect across the board. Oh, I need to read my actions better. We are doing a full op plus SA. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to do an assault. So 3, 6, 9, 12. I would do more if I could. That's going to cost me 12. I'm sitting at $50. So we dropped to 40, 39, 38. We're still rolling in the money. So 3, 6, 9, and then 12. Makes me wish. Now this is a Mars movie quote. It makes me wish I had more than 2 hands. It's a perfect quote for this situation. So I hope one of you knows what movie I just quoted there. And the hint is, it is a movie about Mars. So makes me wish I had more than 2 hands. All right, that's awesome. There's very few times you have a perfectly timed quote, and that one definitely does it for me. Okay, we did that action, but see, it's a full action, so now we get to do the petition. And I didn't activate any of them, but I do get to put 1 supply on Earth plus 1 for every 3 rebels activated by the accompanying operation. I'm going to do a lookup to see if that activated means killed, because that's even better. 1 sec. Okay, so the rules very clearly say it's only for secure and recon. And then the rest of the if statement has to do with the assault. So if we remove more rebel forces than coin, set EG to plus and reduce profits by 2. So that's the part that helps us. We do get to place 1 supply though. No, place 1 supply on Earth. Then it says, then reduce profits by 1 for each supply placed. So that happens no matter what. We get to place 1 supply on Earth and profits get reduced by 1. Then, because we killed more rebel forces than our own, we set EG to plus, which is perfect. And then we reduce profits by 2 more, which is even more perfect. Okay. I'm extremely happy that we did that. So now, orange goes. So, orange I'm going to end it here. We're at almost 3 hours. So let me end it here and then we can continue in a new fresh video. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay awesome.